Ladies and gents, hello and welcome. My name, of course, is Potato. This is Factorio Undefeatable. In the last episode, we actually managed to make insanely good progress on our nuclear production stuff, and now we're seeing that is eventually paying off. It is admittedly going to take a rather long time in order to accrue the appropriate amount of resources. Like this, but honestly, I kind of like it, just keeping it simple. It's just far nicer to do this. We are going to need to store more of this stuff though, so I'm going to have to move this away and plonk down another one of these. Yeah, so what I basically could have done is build like a whole long row of chemical plants and have like all of the chemical plants in this row producing 0.7, or no, taking in 0.7 and producing out 0.2 and 1.2. But if I did that, then that would pretty much lead to just chaos, and you'd have to have so many more tanks, and it's just an absolute pain in the ass. Whereas like this, I think we're at least in a position where, admittedly, it's not the most graceful looking. I'm not going to dispute that for a second. It's not the fastest producing either, but by God, it does work. It does work. It is a smidge slow, perhaps. Maybe we could rectify it by adding on one more of these. All right, would that be an appropriate thing to do? Okay, let's move all of this back a little bit and see if this works any better. All right, but I do like the idea of having more factories producing 0.7, but not too many other factories. Because I think that this, you know, it's just going to be one of those things that we're just going to have to come back to, like a good cheese. You know, you're going to have to let it mature a little bit, and then you'll be able to taste it for its true greatness. You know, honestly, not a big fan of matured cheese myself, but if that's what you're into, then I can't dispute that. I cannot dispute that. All right, this is going to be a pain in the ass to do. That's what we're going to have to do. Yep, that's a little bit weird. It looks kind of funky, but let's roll with it. Yep, and this is gonna go to there, and I have no idea why we used underground pipe there, because that's fine. Alright, so this should work perfectly. That's 3.2 in there. Fuck. Maybe we'll be lucky and just get rid of the 3.2? No, we need to get rid of this tank, actually. Just put it up here or something. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, let's see if this works. And there we go. That's looking a little bit better now. That should just produce a little bit faster. Not like it's really going to make that much of a difference, but it should, you know. It's kind of worth noting that we are getting 3.2 from this, whereas we can like recycle all of these elements into like the previous level, which I kind of like also want to do. But it's much easier if we just don't do that. Or maybe it's not easier to do that. I mean, 0.2 is useless, okay? 0.2 is straight up useless, but 1.2 or 0.7 onwards is kind of useful. So for example, like we could, if we wanted to, get this to come all the way back up here. This is going to need to go underground. That's not a problem. I can fix that. But yeah, we can recycle this. And this is not something that I really talked about in the last episode because I'm not really sure how much I want to delve into this sort of stuff. Because it's kind of annoying to do. And it can get like, it can sort of overflow kind of quickly. If you're not careful. But it might just help us out, if you know what I mean. It might just help us out. It might just help us out just a smidge. Okay, let's connect you up. Perfect. This is going to be an absolute mess. But the good news is, right? The good news is that we don't really have to worry about this at all. Which is an absolute godsend. So 1.7 needs to go up here. We can probably do that, I think. Oh god, it's going to be complicated, isn't it? So 1.7 needs to go to here. Could just get rid of that. And then instead do something like this. Which I don't really like to do because that means that we're probably going to be filled up of 1.2 very, very soon indeed. Or we're gonna, yeah, we're not going to be able to get rid of all of our 1.7 first. Which is going to potentially delay production, but that's not a problem. I can just put another tank out here so that we can accumulate all of the extra 0.7. I'm referring to the hexafluoride, by the way, as just 0.7 because there's just straight up. I think that's just straight up the best way to go about doing things. Okay, there we go. 1, 2. Oh, fuck off. There we go. Alright, so now that should make stuff a little bit quicker. Use up all our excess reserves of 1.7. 2.2 gives off 1.7. We're already doing that. 1.7 gives off 1.2. We're already going back to 1.2, are we? No, we're just storing 1.2. Alright, I should probably do something with the 1.2 then, I guess. 0.2 is absolute fucking trash, though, I think. I don't think there's any use for 0.2, should I say. There we go. Yeah, and this should theoretically mean, that it all just produces a little bit faster. It's not going to make a substantial difference, but it'll make some difference. So 2.2 here comes out... Ah, this is an easy one to do, right? No. That's 1.2 out there. I guess we get rid of that. And that goes to there. Yeah. So again, we are... Yeah, exactly. We're going to run into problems of, like, having too much 2.2. Like, this thing just has too much 2.2 and can't get rid of it. Which is the problem now. Yep, you've got too much 2.2. Even though this needs 2.2. So what's the issue here? Why are we not making this into 2.2? That's 1.2. Why is there 1.2 in there? That's really weird. Did I fuck that up somehow? I think I might have fucked that up with the placement of the pipes. Okay, ignore me. Ignore me. I was being a bit of an idiot. There we go. 2.2 production is resumed. So now you give off 2. Yeah, okay, we've already sorted that one. You give off 2.7, which is not used, so that can go down here. That can easily be extended out like so. So this is actually technically a way of speeding things up, and already we're up to 15 pellets. So that's pretty damn good if you ask me. And we're really getting the maximum bang for our buck, but I do expect this to be running into problems quite soon. Yeah, as you can see, 0.7 we've got a little bit too much of. Wow, we actually have a ridiculous amount of 0.7. We could probably stop adding more 0.7 if we wanted to, but I'm not that concerned. I'd rather just add tanks on rather than complicate matters further, because I would rather have too much stuff in the system rather than too little. That's kind of like the logic anyway that I'm going with. Okay, so we sorted this one. Now we need to get 3.2. 3.2 comes out of here. It's put up here. Let's do this. This is 1.2. Where does the 1.2? What? Is this not connected? .2 is not connected at all, so that's completely useless. And this 1.2 is not connected either, so that's completely useless too. Fantastic. Alright, grand. Let's get this undergroundified, because we can. Let's get this above ground, because we need it to be. Let's get that to be like that. That there, that there. No. No. Fucked it. Fucked it, fucked it, fucked it. This is 0.2 now. Sorry. Sorry. Fucked it all up. Fucked. I just had to go and fuck it all up, didn't I? Let me just roughly plan it out before I go clicking on useless stuff. Right, so this will be 3.2, which needs to come down here and go into there. Man, this is fucking complicated, I tell you. This is fucking complicated. Okay, so now we need an outlet for 0.2, which I guess we could just... I don't think we can vent it, actually, believe it or not. I do not think that we can just vent it. Apparently we cannot. Venting this gas is horrifically not allowed. Stick it in a tank, I guess, but then the tank's going to be a little bit annoying to connect up because there's so many pipes around here already. Yeah, there's no way that that's going to work. But the problem with 0.2 is that 0.2 isn't used for anything apart from like one single one of these, I think. Like, I think it is used for, yeah, 0.2 uranium hexafluoride pellets. But I don't know if that's... Yeah, we're not using enough. Alright, I guess that's some use for, Wow, what the fuck? Okay. That's kind of weird. That's good enough for me, though. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of a use for this stuff. Keeps it all in check, I suppose. 0.2. We should have more than enough 0.2 coming out here. What's the problem? What's the issue here? Why is this stopped production suddenly? What's the problem? What's the issue here? I actually have no idea what the issue is. Fuck. Hey, there we go. That seems fine to me. There's space in the chest. Everything seems to be going fantastically. Alright, I'm just going to assume that was a fluke. Anyway, production should be going rather swimmingly. We've got 75 uranium oxide pellets, so even that little optimization has clearly sped things up. I want to finish the optimizations that I started making just because I can. At 3.2 we already sorted, so that means that the 3.7 here needs to go on the easiest route ever right to there. Wow, that is unbelievably easy. That's fantastic. And then 4.7 is the one that we want and use to get turned into these. Perfect. And now we're producing so much more, which is actually remarkably impressive. Passive provider. Let's just make that a little bit of a bigger chest. And what do you know? Just like that, we've managed to get ourselves enough to make 2 uranium assemblies, which should be able to be made not by hand, but in there. That's fine. Just make that. Let's stick in the steel. Let's stick in the pellets. Should be able to make 2 of them. Perfect. Now, these don't stack, do they? No, they do not stack. Okay. Stage 1 of uranium shenanigans completed. We've managed to get ourselves... oh, I see why we maybe ran out of... Yeah, this stuff. Could probably disconnect you from the line. No, you guys from the line. There we go. Keep that going there. Yeah, we're probably going to be fine with just the current amount of 0.7 that we've got. current amount of 0.7 that we seem to have is already far too much in actuality. Not like it really matters. Again, I would rather have too much in the system than too little. And besides, if it's only a problem that we've got with the first stage of production, then that is something that I will gladly take. We'll do this just to make sure that things are a little bit better spaced out. Anyway, 53. Another, a bunch more stuff. That's fantastic. Okay, so, honestly, that didn't take as much space as I thought it was going to. I thought this was going to take multiple factory buildings, but I'm glad that, that it didn't end up doing that. Okay, so, let's have a little look at this. I have only ever, I think, used small heat exchangers. Fast pump water pressurizer and reactor circulation pump. Fuck me. Let's get some small reactor R and S, just because I kind of know what to do, but not really. And it's all to do with water temperature and nuclear stuff like that. Cooling tower complex, that's quite advanced, actually. I do need a nuclear reactor, actually. I think I can just get away with using using a bigger one so that we don't have to upgrade in the future, but I don't really know if there's functionally any difference with a big one over a small one. Hey, that's what she said, right? Head over here. Click on, oh, for fuck's sake. Click on you. That should be enough for a reactor. Indeed it is. I'll start producing a bunch of iron pipe right now, so that we've got more than enough in our inventory for us to make one reactor. We're also going to need a bunch of extra iron pipe, just to heat things up and get, well, not to heat things up and get things going, but to, you know, have things connected and work and all that good stuff. We're doing fine. We're doing fine for your night. What a stupid thing to say. Anyway, let's bring out our heat exchangers. So the heat exchangers should be interesting. We're gonna need our nuclear reactor, which we're gonna have to make in here. Do we want to just go with a small one? Maximum health 500, energy consumption. We can try with a big one. I don't really functionally know what the difference is. We might need bigger heat exchangers for big ones. What do we need? Oh, we need more stone bricks. Cool, cool. I think I've got more than stone bricks than that, do I? Did I only pick up 100? No, I didn't. There we go. I knew I didn't. I knew I didn't. How long does this take to produce? 60 seconds? Well, the production speed of these is 1.2. Yeah, 1.25, so just under 60 seconds. So basically, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and create a loop, right? One in which hot radioactive water travels around, or no, well, one which radioactive water is cooled and travels around and then is re-fed back into the nuclear reactor, which is where the energy is made. I've got it to work once before, and I'm sure that I can get it to work again. We're going to need the water pressurizer, probably, because the pressure of the water pumps it 8 times the normal pump. We'll also get a fast pump, just because we might need one. Reactor recirculation pump. I have no idea what that actually does. Anyway, this is the big nuclear reactor right here. Place the reactor port. The reactor port is something that we get here. There, we place that. And now in here, I think we just place the nuclear storage, right? However, the pipes come out the front. There we go. Should probably do this outside for the sake of simplicity. Oh, my inventory's full, whatever. Should probably do this outside just in case things go south, although I don't think that anything bad will happen. As I say, it's been a little bit of a long time since I've tried to do this before, but basically we want something that works like so. Use a little heat from the liquid to power itself. Okay, so that goes there. This is pressurized water to heat exchange. Pressurized water to heat exchange. Water to water heat exchange. Exchanges heat between water and itself. pressurized water exchanges heat between pressurized water and water. I think that's what we want. I think that's the one that we want. And this is exchanges heat between pressurized water and itself. I think we want exchanges water between pressurized water and itself. Okay, so now we do water coming in here. I think, by the way, the two nuclear reactors that the two things that I have on my person. Did I use, is this steel? Yeah, it's steel. The two things that I have are basically just like the other heat exchanger anyway. Where the fuck did it go? Where the fuck did it go? Ah, here. Yeah, so they're basically just like opposites, so I can copy that and paste it onto here. It's just a very similar sort of thing. In fact, that would probably be a little bit more useful here. Yep, this one. So pressurized water we're going to have going on a very, very select loop on the inside. It's going to need to be connected like that, and then like that, then like this. I have no idea if this is going to work, by the way. We are also going to need a bunch of boilers to power this whole setup. Believe it or not, you still do need boilers to make this whole thing work. Sucks, I know, right? But that's just the way that nuclear power works. I think that's the way that nuclear power works anyway. At least that's what I managed to do before, which I don't know if it was correct, but hey ho. Anyway, let's do a quick little experiment over here since we can. Oh, that goes for miles, doesn't it? Holy cow, that's great. Alright, so water over here. Gonna need a few more of these things. I do love using steel. I have no idea why I like using steel so much. Okay, so we're gonna actually have to introduce, first we're gonna have to introduce water to the loop. So we're gonna need to have, oh, that was wrong. We need to have a setup, which, first things first, we're gonna get the water pressurizer, which is going to turn regular water and make it into pressurized water, right? So that's basically what we should see happening. Yep, 10 water to pressurized water, which is exactly what we need. That is exactly what we need. We're going to see pressurized water heat up. We're going to see you put in there. I don't think we'll start to see power produced quite yet, but I mean, we'll be able to see on here if we actually produce any power, I think, right? Yeah, but I don't think we're going to start to see any power quite yet. Okay, stop. That should be enough pressurized water for now. And now, the next thing to do is get a couple of boilers. Okay, and this is where the sort of heat exchange part comes into play. Let's just get a little setup here. I think this is what we should be doing. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on this. I'm not sure. Ah, fuck. Filter inserter. Yes, and you can insert coal. That's all your purpose is going to be. You're just a glorified, regular inserter. That's right. You heard me. Glorified, regular piece of shit inserter. You're going to be copied. Can I request some coal? I mean, I could probably request some coal, but there's also a bunch of coal just up here, right? Okay, perfect. Coal. Did I not put a chest down there? I totally did put a chest down there. Alright, let's fill that all up. Let's get boilers heated up with water and whatnot. There we go. And now let's try our very best to make this into a loop. That's not anywhere near enough steel pipe. Could just use regular pipe, I guess. That's a totally appropriate thing to do. Alright, so now that should be working, right? Except it's not going to work because... Do you need coal? You might need coal. It's not going to work because a couple of reasons. Pressurized water is going to need to be pumped out of here. And we've also probably got too much water actually in the system. Right? Or too little pressurized water in the system. I know this is always a problem that I run into. Maybe that goes over there. That seems to work a little bit better. Okay, I mean... No, what we need is a fast pump. Do I have another fast pump? Do I have the ingredients for another fast pump? Very important that it's a fast pump here. Is that the fast pump? That's the fast pump right there. Fast pump needs to be coming out so that we have as little water in here as possible. Okay, so let's disconnect that. Let's get this to sort of go in like a looping fashion. Okay, so we should have all of the water out of here, right? Not all the water out of there. Oh, we need more pressurized water. Okay, that's what we need. Alright, so in that case, just get the water pressurizer out again. We'll do a little bit of pressurization for a little bit. And fingers crossed that'll be enough to add to the system. And then it should come in here, around through here. And it should get turned into pressurized water. And now we're going to start to see pressurized water pump around the system. And basically, we don't want to get too much pressurized water in the system, but not enough is going to be kind of catastrophic as well. Now, I think we've made a little bit of a mistake by going for the bigger nuclear fission reactor thing. I think we should probably have gone for the smaller one. I suspect that the smaller one, which we actually should be able to build right now. There, pipe, stone bricks. I suspect that the smaller one does not actually require as many fuel assemblies. Now, we've only put a couple of fuel assemblies in here, right? And now we run into the problem of we've got enough pressurized water, but we've got too much water on the output, so we need to have that sort of going around. Right? And there we have it. We should have basically, in essence, the loop that we're looking for. As soon as I fix that pretty abysmal mistake. There we go. Now this is what we've got. This is what we've got. We've got a loop. It's not perfect yet. It's absolutely not perfect, and it's the bigger version, which means that we probably need way more fuel assemblies to actually make it work. So I'm going to take the smaller version outside and see if that makes a difference. It's a little bit of a smaller one, which is kind of nice. There we go. It shouldn't functionally make that much of a difference. Place the reactor port thing. Perfect. Port successfully aligned. Now we just need to stick in fuel assemblies. That's only 2 fuel assemblies, which I don't think is going to be enough. I think we need all of the fuel assemblies, but if I'm not mistaken, we should have... What? Oh, come on. Come on. Did we run out of 0.7? We actually ran out of 0.7. Fuck me. Alright, I guess it was necessary to keep this stuff on board, right? Well, that's a shame, because that has effectively slowed down the manufacturing of a bunch of fuel assemblies. Although maybe I could do it with 0.2. I know that we can make 0.2 fuel assembly. I don't actually know if that makes... Oh no, we can't make 0.2 fuel assembly. Yeah, we can only make 0.2 pellets. And pellets don't work in that sort of stuff. Cooling tower complex, I do not know if that is going to play a part. The way that I ended up managing to do it was this way. And I know it did definitely produce results. I don't know if this is quite how things are supposed to work, but if you do have any ideas, then by all means, let me know, and I'll definitely try and incorporate them into the design. This is basically a pretty rough and ready way, I think, of making this whole thing work. But if you look at this, we can see that the temperature of this pressurized water is 350 degrees, which is much, much higher than, I think, the temperatures that the boilers are operating at. I don't really know. Let me see. Let me add a little bit more water. Yeah, so we're only operating at 100 degrees here. However, it looks like we're using a heck of a lot more for boilers. At least we're operating a much higher temperature for the nuclear power place. I'm going to leave this in here. I'm going to add a tiny little bit more pressurized water because we need a little bit more to add to the system. So we basically have a constant supply of pressurized water coming into the pressurized water exchange thingy. So we will add a little bit more water to the system because, of course, there's a couple more pipes added to the system. Just need to constantly just have pressurized water coming in and making this whole thing work properly. And again, we'll probably need to get another fast pump set up pretty soon as well. Okay, perfect. Right, so this is not working because we've presumably got too much regular leftover water, which is the annoying thing that happens when you leave the mains plugged in, so to speak. Get rid of a little bit of this. Yeah, that should now perpetually work. I don't think that there should ever be a situation where this... Let me rephrase that. I don't think that there should ever be a situation where this doesn't work. I think it should all work fine now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty decent. It's not going to be producing any power yet, I don't think, because we've not filled up with the appropriate number of fuel assemblies. Apparently, if you add fuel pellets, then that crashes the game, which is somewhat problematic to everything, actually. But we are going to definitely be making a couple more fuel assemblies, which I'm 90% sure is what we need. Anyway, ladies and gents, this episode has already gone over time. Thank you very much for watching. My name, of course, has been Potato, and I'll see you next time. Bye.